Talking all things entertainment, this is Sherri Pullum in the studio with Dreamers Unite. Producing digital content with professional coach Tanya Jones. Hey Dreamers, and welcome to Dreamers Unite in the studio. We are back for another episode, and thank you so much for joining me. Well, I am excited today. I'm always excited when I do this show, right? I really am. But I have a very special guest today, Tanya Jones, with me. Oh my goodness. She is an award-winning producer, a writer, director, professional coach, storyteller, and most importantly, she's a terrific mom. And she's just a caring, humble, loving spirit and soul.
Wow.
Yeah, you are. You're all that and more.
Thank you.
So I am happy to have her join us. She's going to share with us some of her experiences in this entertainment industry. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of golden nuggets, as I always do, dreamers, and throw them out to you as soon as I can for you to catch them.
Yeah.
So Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
You are awesome.
And you're awesome. And thank you for that beautiful bio. I should make that my bio.
You should. You absolutely
Condense
should.
it a little bit.
Well, I know how to condense a bio. I've learned on this show to condense it.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive right into talking about you as a producer and writer. And how did you start out into this world of television?
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, I went to college for sociology. I thought I wanted to be, at first I thought I wanted to be a psychologist. So when I saw that I had to take bio for psychology, I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. Went to sociology because it just felt like the best natural thing. And we'll talk about how important it is to follow that voice, follow what fits, follow what you feel like you show up and it feels right. Oh, this feels pretty organic to who I am and, where I want to go. And another thing I always say, and I'm just going to give this out there, is a lot of what we do, and we were just talking about this before we started recording, it's about relationships and building good relationships with people throughout this industry. And that's really goes back to how you sort of see the world, how you see people, and how you connect. So for me, the reason why I started off in TV is because I had this voice my senior year and I just knew I wanted to be in television. It just kind of came from nowhere. I want to be on a set. I want to see what it's like to say action. And I just knew the buzz of TV would be fun. And I was already in a singing group. I had done theater in college. So I was naturally sort of, in that performance world. But there was someone I sang with in college in my a cappella group, Vivian Connolly. And she said, hey, when you graduate, I have a job for you in New York. I knew I was going to move to New York City from Philadelphia because all my friends were here and I loved the city and the buzz. But she said, I had this job as an assistant to the senior vice president of operations at Food Network. There's an opening because my best friend, who I helped get that job, is leaving. I think you're a perfect fit. Wow. I went for the interview in my mother's suit. When I think about it, I was wearing my mother's suit. My mother was 5'2", okay? So I was wearing this suit.
How did that work?
Somehow it did.
Okay.
I don't know, because I'm longer. I don't know.
It was probably really short,
I just
though.
remember it was black and white.
Yeah.
Yes, it probably was. Yeah. Scandalous. Anyway, and I interviewed for that job within 3 months after graduating from Trinity. I was working as assistant to the senior vice president of operations at Food Network. And I went through the ranks. I then became a talent coordinator, worked really closely with the chefs that we know today, like Bobby Flay and Sarah Moulton, Ming Tsai, traveled in their field unit where we traveled around the world. I remember going to Hawaii, going to Anguilla with B. Smith. And after I left Food Network, I ended up freelancing for all of the production companies who were producing Food Network shows. So that was sort of wild too. But again, those connections, those relationships with the talent, with other producers who were already in the field, that's how I started building up that clientele as a field producer. And then later on, I ended up at Meredith Corporation in 2008 because they knew I had the food background. And I basically helped them build a studio in Des Moines, Iowa, which I had never been.
Wow.
But it did help that there was a corporate jet and I got to go on the jet and find my way to Des Moines.
Not a bad gig.
No, it wasn't. It was exciting because that was the first time they were building up a video unit. So that was when video was sort of new. And I thought of it as corporate videos, not knowing that we would sort of emerge into this whole other world of 30-second videos, 15-second videos, a minute and a half, social media. So from the food, with my food expertise, it really parlayed naturally into pharma, into home design. So a lot of big brands like Home Depot I've worked with. And it was sort of like I all of a sudden saw myself as this sort of lifestyle queen producer.
So you talked about working with a number of major brands, and especially, I know you worked with Walmart and Target. So how important, right, is digital media now to companies? And because, again, it wasn't, right? The digital media wasn't in play then.
Yeah.
And like you said, it started growing as digital media started growing. So how important is that? And then where do you see content creation going?
Ooh, those are good questions.
Juicy.
I love it. I think we all know the impact of digital media, period. I mean, it's not just social media. It is where we find our stories. It's where we find the content, the video, the articles, all of it. So digital media is just ever evolving and it's happening fast. I think for companies and brands, the eyeballs are there. So, when I was working in corporate and we were working with big brands like Walmart and Target and Amazon Studios, et cetera, it was really about capturing that audience. It was about capturing the audience that was coming to our brands. So, I worked with All Recipes. I've worked with People, with InStyle. So as they were coming to those brands, they were looking for the content. And those brands are coming to entities like a Meredith Corporation because they know that people are already there. The audience is there because women are looking for content to help better their lives. So they want to cook. They want to learn more about even like just empowering their bodies. So like, when we owned Shape magazine, so people were coming to, it's like if a corporation like that is bringing 100 million women to their platforms, then brands want to go there and follow them. But brands are also sort of paying the bills. So, when they're coming to us and asking for, we want print, we want video, we want articles, we want social media imprint, then that's where all those different departments are collecting that money to get the content produced and to attract the audience. Of course, there's strategy behind it. So you can't just, okay, we're going to give you 20 videos and then we're going to give you 5 articles. No, there has to be strategy to get people on that journey for that brand. So it makes sense that when we're all looking at social media, that you're seeing paid partnerships or you're seeing hashtag ad, hashtag sponsors, because someone, especially influencers, a brand is paying those influencers to use their product, and hopefully they're using it so it doesn't feel like a commercial.
Right.
It feels really organic.
Yes.
It feels like, a story about perseverance, but it might be sponsored by a water brand.
That's right.
Because that water brand, you've got to in order to persevere, you've got to take care of your body. You've got to drink that water and hydrate. So it really should be subtle storytelling within those brand stories.
Okay, got you. And do you see that's where content creation for these brands, because really it is all about storytelling, right?
Yep.
And so do you see that still getting greater and expanding more, or do you see, where do you think it could go from here? Let's just use our imaginations.
Yeah.
We don't want to give too many ideas though. Somebody, wait a minute, you need to get paid.
Right,
Just
exactly.
don't go too far, Johnny.
I will not tell my secrets.
Don't tell your secrets.
No.
But no, really, where do you think this could lead in terms of content creation for companies?
Yeah.
What do you think the future is?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I just think when you are telling stories about connection, so whether people are connecting to themselves, like I gave that example about the water brand, or connecting to others, and you connect to the audience, that's why I remember when we first started creating content and we started to look and cast for influencers, every brand wanted authenticity. They didn't care if you had glitter nail polish on, if you had black nail polish on. But when they're talking about their brand, we had to follow their brand guidelines. So it was like nude, neutral nail polish. But if we get an influencer with 50,000 to 100,000 followers, they're like, no. We want this person to be authentic. We want them to be themselves, because that's why they have built 100,000 followers or more, because they just showed up as themselves. So I think in order for brands to share those stories, they've got to connect with the right people. So I think we're going to still see them finding content creators who already have an audience. So remember what I just said about the media company I worked for. They already had 100 million women. So I think brands will look for the built-in audiences and then piggyback on them. And in terms of content creation, I mean, it's evolving. Like now we're seeing more women with like voluptuous bodies. Yes. We're seeing women who are overweight, but like loving their overweight, loving their bodies anyway. So I think it's going to get deeper. We see brands who are, I see a lot of beauty brands now working with trans people. Like the sky is going to be the limit, because the audience will dictate what they're interested in. So to answer your question, brands will follow what people are doing and follow those behaviors. But I think ultimately the audience is looking for connection. So they want to see someone that looks like them.
That's right.
They want to see someone who inspires them. They want to see someone who's giving away good nuggets, like you talked about, some good takeaways, so they can then incorporate that into their lives. So I don't know specifically what's going to happen, but I know for me, I'm trying to find stories that we're afraid to tell, and produce those types of stories. So if a brand wants to come in, I'm really big on supporting men. I think the conversation around men gets lost. I think there are a lot of men who are very vulnerable right now, who don't know where to put that vulnerability. And I'd like to hear more of those voices. So there might be a brand out there that's like, well, we support men too, even if it's like, I don't know, a shaving cream brand, but some of their brand guidelines and their characteristics may align with a man who's like, hey, I'm in therapy. I want to talk about and get vulnerable with you.
Yeah, I love that. And brands that would connect to men emotionally.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's where they don't connect often. And also, I want to say building community with other men.
Yes.
And sharing, because we naturally, as women, we do that.
Right.
We build community. Yep. We share our truth much more than men do. Yeah. And we're not afraid as they are to share it with others.
Right. Yeah. And share it with each other too. And I'm starting to see that. I see that a lot with millennial men who are like sitting in round tables and talking to each other. So those are the types of stories that I want to tell. Like, what are we not saying? And that's probably my coaching background. Like, what's underneath the pressure, the challenges, all of that? Let's bring that voice up. So to your point about the community and the sharing and all of that, that is like, exactly. That's an example of kind of what I think brands are looking for with the audiences too. Like, how are we sharing content?
Yes.
How are we building community? And again, that idea of, emotion, that we're looking for emotion. Isn't that why, like, when we watch the Super Bowl, I shouldn't say the Super Bowl. Isn't it like when we watch the big football game that happens once a year?
But don't say Super Bowl.
Right. I know there's going to be like a beep over your, that was always like a big thing too. It's like, you can't say that. You have to say the big game day because it's copyrighted. Right. But anyway, just think back to the commercials that have like evoked like, oh my God, that was so sad, or that was so cute with that dog, or, oh my God, that emotion between the father and the son. Again, it's like, we want to build on that. So if brands can get to that and they're authentic and strategic about it, then, there could be great success.
That is beautiful, not only for the brand, but for the consumer, for the customer, for the viewers, for those watching.
Yep.
Yeah. We talked about how it's just wonderful when we can be ourselves and how we can inspire more authenticity and we can inspire people to share their truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Share your truth. Yeah.
Share your truth.
And sometimes you have to share that truth like sort of in small doses to build it up. Sharing your truth with yourself and your friends and your family, then maybe for some people who want to get that message out there, they go to platforms to do it.
Right.
Because we can't expect everyone's going to share everything. But I do think like if you have a voice and you think that, you know, that you have something to say that could help others,
Yes.
then, you know, write it, video it, whatever it takes to share that and get that out there.
Okay, here's a little nugget moment, dreamers. Really, if you have a message, if you have a story that you want to help others, because really that's what it's all about, right? We're here on this planet to serve, right? And so if you do have that, then write it. You've got your phone. Thank God we have a phone now, right? Share it. Talk about it. Text it. There's so many ways that you actually can use your voice now, and they are so many different platforms. So, catching it from Tanya, boom.
Put it out there.
There you go, dreamers. I hope you caught it. And I do hope you share your story. And I hope that even for me, you know, I'm learning to be more transparent, right? Because as an actor, you know, part of my training, I would say, you know, or even just growing up, you know, sometimes it's like, don't share that in the house.
Right.
Don't tell you what's really going on underneath it all. So we do learn to try to start keeping these secrets.
Yes.
So being able to be transparent and more authentic, not that I'm always feel like I'm an authentic person, but sometimes how do you become more transparent to just be more of who you are and not running away from things? I think that's what's important. And I think, as you say, how brands are solving whatever that is, whatever the brand is solving of something, we need something, right? Then it's a beautiful thing when we can put the both together and we can inspire, intersect it all. Yes. Thank you for that. So you mentioned too about your professional coaching. So that was perfect. We're going to transition into that.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about that professional coaching side and how you turn that into a career.
First of all, I always say coaching is my heart job because it's the thing that I believe fulfills me. To be on a coaching call with a client and see them shift or just like connect to each other. You know, so what's important to understand about coaching is I think a good coach doesn't tell you what to do. That's like my big rule. They don't tell you what to do, but they really guide you along the way of discovery. So it's a lot of empowering questions. So it's a lot of like what, how, when, rather than like the yes or no questions. So I became a coach in 2014 because again, there's that voice, that intuition saying to me, well, you know what? You're great at TV. You love it, but there's something missing. What was missing for me was real authentic sort of connection and helping someone. People always told me like, oh, you should be like Oprah and have a talk show and you should like help people or whatever. I didn't have the psychology degree. I wasn't a psychotherapist or anything. I was a producer, but like there's certain things about producing, as you know, that sort of parlay into that connection. You've got to pre-interview people. You've got to get people to be authentic and transparent in those interviews, which you do beautifully already.
Thank you.
And it's sort of like for coaching, it's like connecting with someone so that they trust you to guide them along the way. So in 2014, I did a 9-month training certification with an organization called Leadership That Works. They've actually dissolved here in the States, but they're in India. But it was mind, body, soul training. So that's the biggest thing about coaching too. Some people just like, they're ready to take down the notes and have you tell them what to do, but it's more about connecting. There's so much wisdom in our bodies that we forget, you know? So when you're anxious, what's the signal for anxiety for you? For me, it's in my chest, it's in my stomach. For some people, it's in other parts of their bodies, but that's a signal to me that something is off. And what's underneath that anxiety? What is causing it? What am I feeling? What's happening in the present moment? So the coaching for me is so valuable because I was coached in my program. I was coached by my peers. So I also made like significant growth in the coaching process, right? Being coached by my peers for 9 months, watching master coaches in the classroom coach other people where you sit back, you're like, whoa. And it's like, get up out of your chair. If you're feeling like you don't know how to ask for a promotion, let's like take a little walk in the room And the coach would like walk around with the my coaching peers in the room and take them on the journey. So let's stop here, right? So now we're getting them in their, off the chair, in their bodies, walking. And that sort of like loosens up, you know, the conversation a little bit. Okay, so what do you see here? If we stopped here and there was a fear here around asking for that promotion, name that fear. We talk about it, name that fear, and then move on to the next fear. So it's just a really cool way. We use metaphors, visioning, a lot of visioning. We talk about future self, which I always think is so
love
fun.
Talking about future self.
Future self is great because it's really a part of the visioning too, which is, where do you see yourself? You know, what will it take for you to get there? Who will show up for you and support you? And that's a big thing for me, because I'm not sure people really think about, well, how am I supported in this life? Who can support me in my career? I coach mostly women, women who are in media, women who are creatives, and it's from 20s, 30s, 40s and up. And most of the time when they come to me, it's to leave a job because they're not happy, they're not fulfilled. They're also stuck because they want to make money, but they also want to make the kimchi that they've been dying to make and become a brand. They're wanting to do more with their skills. They want to create an apparel line. So not everyone leaves those coaching sessions just doing that and leaving their jobs, but we really work on, okay, visioning, like, why is that important? So we look at the needs, your values. We look at, we create the vision. So if you want to do this, who's going to show up to help you? And what's holding you back? What's really, so I always say so much about coaching is what is underneath the fears. And if there's fear there, what do you believe about that fear? Because a lot of times it's the limiting beliefs that hold us back from actually taking a step.
Yeah.
So I try to just show them like, okay, let's just like look at it. Let's like be a little courageous. Let's get curious. You follow that curiosity and then you bring in the visioning and you start lining up, okay, well, this person would support me. Then it becomes possible. And that's really what I try to do. Shift them to a place where they can see that something that they desire is really possible.
Wow.
And
first of all, I hope people that you are taking notes, because that was just a training session right there. Really just taking through the steps and asking yourself these questions and guiding people step by step.
It's powerful.
It is powerful. It is powerful.
You know, and it takes time, but the hope is that you shift moving forward. So after those 6 sessions, you may not have left that job, but you will continue to understand what your values are, what you need, and then who's going to show up. So who's going to show up to support Dreamers Unite, you know? So you bring people in that you know, and that you know will come on and help tell their story. And then that person could say, well, I think this should be on a network. And the next thing you know, your support has opened up because of all your guests, because of your crew, whoever it is that believes in you. And you're the person who's setting the example of those beliefs.
That's
so you believe that something like this, like you just told your audience, that, you know, to write it, to speak it, you believe in that.
That's right.
And you're inspiring them. So if you believe it, then everybody around you will drink it with you too.
Yes, drink it. I'm going to pour from my overflow.
Yes.
Pour from my overflow.
And make it possible. This is possible.
That's right.
So why wouldn't it be possible for this to be on a big network?
And it is possible.
For you to be, I won't say another Oprah, because Oprah is Oprah.
That's
but
right.
To be the next
to be Sherri Pullum.
Say that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Not even the next, but just to be Sherri Pullum.
See,
just live in that. Let me just live in that. Yeah. You know, Tanya, you know, the bottom line is, I think for all of us, we're trying to journey into becoming our truest, most authentic self and through our truest expression. And that's what you're helping people do.
Yeah.
Whether it's through TV, whether it's through brand building, working with companies, whether it's through your personal coaching, that is what you are doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is received. I love that. That's very, that is the connection, because I'm doing it too. And this is what I tell everybody. When I'm coaching a client, it's a mutual exchange, because really that fear that's living in someone else, I have that same fear, but maybe about something else, but there's commonality in that. So I'm coaching them from a place of intuition and listening and my training, but I'm also coaching myself too, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
So we're going to start to wrap this segment because we have a question for you.
Okay.
But I have one other thing just to give someone who might want to take your path as a, producer, writer, coach, what offering, because I think I stopped saying advice before, because sometimes people are like, you gave me that advice. And it's like, wait a minute, let me just give you an offering. Yeah, disclaimer. Let me give you an offering on maybe just one or two steps. Well, you kind of did in terms of outlining even your personal and maybe even professional, asking yourself the what, why, and how.
Yeah.
But say someone wants to start as a professional coach, perhaps was one of the first steps they could do.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Someone texted me before I got here today saying, I'd love to meet with you because our conversation has inspired me to go into coaching.
Great.
So she started, I would say research coaching services in your world on the internet. But like, if you know someone who is a coach, feel free to DM somebody, reach out to somebody. I think it's important to hear it from different people. So don't just, even when the clients come to me, potential clients, and say, I'm looking for this, whatever, I'll say, hey, let's do an overview, but I'm going to sort of tell you what I think a good coach does. And if you're comfortable with me, work with me, but go listen to other coaches and see who's a good fit. So I would say just start doing the research. I mean, we all can go online and search, but if you know someone who knows someone, you could cold DM. I don't know what they say these days. Cold DM somebody and see, if you could set up time. I think most coaches are willing. I do like a 15 to 20 minute call with someone just to say, let's make sure coaching is what you need. In fact, the other day I told somebody.
And it's a good fit.
Right, exactly. I told somebody, I don't think you need coaching. I think you just need somebody to connect you with someone in TV. So I have these contacts, send me your resume. And then if you feel like you want to be coached, I will coach you. And follow your intuition. It's like when you meet somebody and there's a connection and you're like, I want to know that person. They vibe well with me. Like we have a thing. Go with that when you pick that coach. If the conversation is good, you like what they're saying, we already are sort of wired to do that anyway. Follow your gut. And I would say that with your career in general. 2 times I had a voice, right, that said, no psychology because of biology, go to sociology, but also go into TV. And then it was go be a coach. So I just listened to that. And then I looked at that support who told me, even though I was like single parent household and I was holding it down, I didn't know where I was going to get that money for that training. But someone told me, Tanya, why wouldn't we all show up to help you and make sure you get that training? And that shifted everything for me. So really just listening to yourself and get curious. Just get curious. That's what I did. I looked into coaching programs and I was just curious, what would it be like? And the more I heard about it, the more I knew, like, yes, this is a good fit. It felt like home. It felt like me. And that's why I would say, if you want to follow something, production felt like me, coaching felt like me. And I didn't need to like have any kind of crazy skills to do it.
I love that. It felt like me. Yeah, that's going to be my new little mantra. It felt like me. It feels like me. Yeah. Just like when I stepped on stage for the first time, I said, I'm home.
Yes,
I'm home.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for all your nuggets. And listen, there's so many other things that we had. Next time you're going to come back and we're going to talk about your company.
Yeah.
Mama Bear Productions.
Yes.
Now, where can people find you?
People can find me at Your Life Coached on Instagram. You can find me at yourlifecoach.com. And you can always hit me up on LinkedIn. It's just Tanya Jones.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to our next segment. We have a video. So we're going to go to that.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Tanya, with Tanya Jones. And this is our segment where you're going to answer a question. Okay. And so we have a great video question here. And so let's just hear it.
Yeah.
As a creative person, I like to storytell and think of different ways I can tell stories. However, I really haven't gotten into video production. So what are the basics that come with video production that's different than writing a book or writing down a script? What should I be thinking about when it comes to video production and our content creation? Let us know.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good question.
I like
Go
that
for it.
question because that's what people are doing right now, right? So they're doing podcasts, and it wasn't just about the audio. They see an opportunity to have another asset, which is the video. So they're going to put it on YouTube and all the social platforms. So with video, I mean, I think if you're writing a book, you're writing an article, what is your story? And then for video, what's important is like, obviously it's visual. So what can support it and what can make it dynamic? So, you know, a lot of people are just telling stories on their phone, and all they need is their iPod, whether you're holding it vertical or you're holding it, you know, what I would call like wide or landscape. So that's, you know, important. So start with your story. And then for video, I mean, there's editing involved, and there's takes involved, and there's music that you need to layer on. So, you know, I think you have to sort of look at how you want to tell that story. What equipment do you have? You know, again, everyone's using their phones, and I shouldn't just say that one phone, because there's other types of phones and companies, but you use your phone to start off with. I know people who use their smartphones to record podcasts.
That's right.
So, I mean, these phones are amazing now. They have incredible cameras. So you want to think about the look of it, the look and feel. You want to think about your audio. You know, if you want it to really feel clean or whatever, you're probably going to have some editing that you'll need to do. But again, like my son, he's in music, for instance. This is a good example. He's in music. He raps, he writes, he produces and engineers all of his music.
Wow.
But what he also did was segue into editing video. So he can use Final Cut Pro. He can use iMovie because he knows how to layer. So again, follow your curiosity. Look it up, go on, you know, YouTube and see the tutorials, but think about the look and feel you're ultimately going for. And I would say this, sometimes we start off and it might look a little not so well produced, a little janky, as the young kids say, but you know, as long as you keep doing it, it takes time. It takes time to be a good producer.
That's
and
right.
to create gorgeous, beautiful content with good storytelling and music and audio. Take your time, start small, start on your phone and practice, get 2 phones, get a tripod, get those little circle rings or whatever they're called.
The ring lights.
Ring lights, thank you. Use those. I have one actually. Use those, and then you can build it afterwards and get like more, you know, sophisticated equipment when you want to. But there's so much you can just do just starting on your phone.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the bottom line is, whether we're putting the music in, the storytelling, it really is about creating emotion. Mm-hmm. It's all about how we feel.
Yeah.
Because it's how we feel that's important. You know, it's not the money or the things or the necessarily even the show or the content, or if the music is good or not good to you. It's good to you because it makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
You connect to a song, or you connect to even this show because it makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And people connect to us just individually because it's how you feel. So I think what you said before, I was just tying that into.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Amazing.
See,
Yeah.
we're such a good duo.
We are a good duo. We might. Tanya and Sherri show. Here we come.
Okay, we're your producer.
Yes.
Along with your producer for this show.
Yes.
We'll co-produce.
Yes, you can co-produce. Well, we are going to move on to our next segment. We're going to play Dream Game.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready for the Dream Game?
I am.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right, first question. What was your childhood dream, and are you living it?
Ooh, my childhood dream was to be a secretary. And you could say I did live it because that was one of like my first summer jobs. I just loved the typewriter, the desk, and playing secretary, as we called it back then. Yeah. So I have lived it. And I mean, at this point, haven't we all, like, we're all administrative assistants, even if it's for our own businesses. It's just part of the job.
Yeah, it is part of the job. And so you are living that dream too, because that's secretary encompasses a lot of different duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, I just knew I wanted to work in an office. That was my big thing.
Wow. Yeah, well, and that's what you're doing. You're heading up your own office and your own company, and you worked in many offices.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You've been living it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your opportunity to accept your award. I think it's really important, you know, as we're all dreamers, which I've said it a million times, okay? So people, please stop thinking you're not a dreamer. Everyone is, but we're anything that we can touch, see, feel, anything, all started in someone's imagination with an inspiration. So
Yes.
everybody is a dreamer.
Yep.
So I'm just talking to everyone, okay? When I say dreamers, that means every single person.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And I think it's important to be grateful and to live in gratitude and to
Yes.
also thank people who helped us along the way, because it really does take a village.
I know
right?
where this
Just
is
like
going.
yeah, you know where it's going. It takes a village.
It does.
So this is your opportunity to give your acceptance
Oh my
speech.
God.
Okay. And to thank.
Oh my goodness.
So when you get your Emmy,
Okay, hold
maybe
on.
for Dreamers, and you're a co-producer
Yes.
with Sabrina and my other producer.
I'm going to hold it.
Yes. And this is your practice. And really to thank those people, and really just take a minute to thank people who really are important, to have helped you walk the walk that you're walking and to be where you are now.
Yeah, wow. That is so powerful. I've actually had this thought before.
Okay.
And I'm not necessarily I'd be getting an Oscar or anything, but like, who would I thank? So should I say it to you or say it
You're
to the
going
camera?
to say it. You can say it to the camera. You can talk to me.
I'll do a little spin.
Yeah, do a little spin.
Well, I'm just so grateful to my parents, Thomas and Charlotte. My mother passed in 2015. My dad is still alive and thriving. He'll be 80 this year. But I thank my parents because they were so different. You know, my father is very regimented and stringent and hardworking, a provider. My mother was more of the free spirit, very spiritual. She was she's the reason why we got into theater and we performed in our house. So I would thank my parents for just instilling in me the belief that I could really do whatever I wanted to. And also just, the fact that a lot of that started at home with like chores and being very thorough and detailed about cleaning the dishes and cleaning the bathroom. There are 5 of us. I grew up one of 5. So we really did have to split those responsibilities. So I thank my parents for just instilling hard work, this belief that I could really accomplish whatever I wanted to. And I thank my son who inspires me every day with his music. I wish at that age I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And he is so driven to be continue being an amazing artist. I thank my friends who are like my lifeline. I have amazing friends from high school to childhood to living in New York for so many years. A lot of people in lifestyle and media who just inspire me. And especially my 3 best friends, I thank wholeheartedly. And I just thank God. I thank spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, because I just have this faith that, I'm going to be okay on the hardest days. But prayer has really gotten me so far. And I think it's so important just for me to, when I tap in for myself and get grounded, I'm really connecting with a higher power. And that first and foremost, honestly, I should have started with that. But, we kind of make jokes about people who start with that in award shows, but it's really important to be connected for me to a higher power. So that is my thank you. Thank you, everyone. Kisses. All of it.
I love, this is like one of my favorite parts. Like, I love it. And I actually feel every time I just started this question, so it's new doing this question, and I was inspired to do it because, again, I think it's important that we take time to thank people.
Yes.
And listen, you're giving flowers to people when they watch the show, and it's good that we stop and think about all that we have to be so thankful for, who poured into us.
Yes,
and
big
of course,
time.
God, for me. And
me
prayer
too.
changes things.
Amen.
I definitely believe that.
For sure.
Okay, one last question.
Okay. That was so fun.
It's rave. I know everyone's standing up at home, applauding like that to their feet, cheering you on. That's right. And I love the little.
You really like me. No, you really love me. No.
Oh, Tanya, I love
Talk about
it.
transparency.
Yeah.
Really letting loose.
I love it, as you should. Listen, that's what I've been doing all day today. So, okay, one last dream question for you. Okay. Because this is a community of dreamers. Again, we're all dreamers.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted, people.
No.
And look, what we want to do in this community is support people, right? It is about dreaming,
Yes.
sharing as we
Building
do,
it. Yep.
right? Storytelling and sharing our stories,
Yep.
and being able to manifest that dream,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So we want to affirm with you. What's on your bucket list? What do you have out there? What dreams are new dreams on the horizon for you?
Yeah. Oh, great question. New dreams. And I'm big on dreaming too, because in coaching, we talk about visioning. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Getting very specific and detailed. For me, my ultimate happy dream, my happy place when I see my future self is at a beach house with friends and family there. I love the beach. I love going every summer. I go to Fire Island and I just try to collect people to come with me and have a good time. But that is my dream, just to own a beach house where like everybody is welcome, everybody can come. As far as career and more recent things, I'd like to start a podcast, honestly. I've been recording with a friend. I just want to get creative and again, follow like, what am I curious about? What do I like to talk about? Where do I think I can really add some value and just create? So that's what I'm focusing on for this year. Create with my voice, using that throat chakra and like getting it out there. Natural communicators. I think we both are.
Totally.
So, and I think we both have something to share in a message. You have Dreamers Unite. I don't have the title of mine just yet,
That's
but
okay.
I know that I really just want to help people, but it's also through my own stories and
That's
other
right.
people's stories. So I'm going to follow in your footsteps, and I'll probably reach out to you for a lot of advice because you make me feel so comfortable. I see what you've been doing and it's amazing. We met through a mutual friend. So it's just.
And through a podcast, I was facilitating, moderating rather.
And it was lovely. I mean, we met through Zoom.
We met through Zoom. Yeah.
And we just connected. So yeah, just create. I just want to create and build so I can get to that beach house and then I don't have to work anymore.
I love it. Listen. Amen and ashe.
Yes.
I am with you on that. As long as I'm invited to the beach house.
Course.
Okay, I'm just kidding. I already know I'm invited. I see my bags.
A smoothie for me.
Yes,
again.
I'll make you a great smoothie. My bags are packed already. They're just so that way I can be envisioning and affirming, and I know it's going to manifest. Yeah, and dreaming. My bag is underneath. I'm getting it today when I go home.
I'll take it with me.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in place. I'm going to look at it every day and be like, the beach house.
Yes,
I'm going.
The beach house.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I think that's wonderful, and just keep creating. You know, I'm always here for you.
Thank you.
Whatever you need, and I know you're here for me. I thank
it.
you so much, Tanya,
Thank
for
you.
sharing, inspiring, encouraging. Just like I said, being a bright light in the world and
so
shining in dark places.
Yes.
And there's a lot of those in this world. So just turn up your light even brighter, sister.
Yes, that's
Sister.
great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So dreamers. Okay. We're coming to a close, but please join me next time. And please don't forget to join us on social media, follow us, share out what we're doing here. It is important. It's important work. It's important conversation. And I just hope it's uplifting and bringing more joy into the world and inspiring more people. Yeah. And letting people know that, you know what, Tanya did it, so you can do it. Right? You can do it too. So, dreamers, that's it for me. And I will see you again next time right here, Dreamers Unite in the studio.